Welcome everyone to TJ Speaks. I am your host TJ, and today we are going to be discussing a common thread that you might have heard in the news. This thread is when the Democrat Party refers to the migrants, the illegal migrants, they always refer to them as human. Now they have said this more than once, more than a dozen times. And so, TJ Speaks today, we are going to be discussing whether Black Americans are considered human to the Democrat Party. Okay, because I feel that it is a very strange response when we are supposed to be human. I am a member of the ADOS community, and aren't we considered human? So it never crossed my mind that the migrants were not human. And I kind of feel insulted that our representatives that were hired by us are defending people that they do not know, number one, and people that did not pay the bill or cut the check for their representation. I find that very insulting. So we're going to be discussing that. So let's go. Let's get into this. Okay. Right. So today's show, like I said, are Black Americans considered human? Um, you guys have heard it before. I wish I had a clip, audio clip of the various members of the Democrat Party referring to the migrants as human, and that's the reason why the Black communities have to bear the cost for people breaking into their communities and draining their resources. What's going on right now is I would say a crime against the civil rights and of the United States citizens at large. Specifically, the Black American descendant of slaves communities are being targeted with this illegal migration scam. And one of the ways they are scamming the American people is that they are bringing in these people under the disguise of asylum seeker, which does not carry any federal funding. So the cost of these people's lives are thrusted upon the community. So that's what we're going to be discussing in detail. I want to play for you guys an audio clip of New York City Mayor Adams. And the reason why I pulled this clip is because this clip is very eye-opening. This clip of New York City, when we think of New York City, we talk of New York City. New York City is the richest the richest city in the world. That is what New York City is. New York City has a budget that's larger than most countries on the globe. So when you have a Mayor Adams, say that this migrant situation is going to collapse New York City, you're talking about the migrant situation collapsing the largest, most richest city in the entire world. That is the New York City budget. It is the biggest city in the world. It is known worldwide. And New York has a very big budget. So for New York City to collapse, For all of the other residents of other cities around this country, you guys get ready for it. If New York City goes down, you're going down too. Your cities are done. And New York City is collapsing under this ridiculous, illegal immigration brought on to us by President Joe Biden, who by law is supposed to be impeached. And that's where the current Congress, United States Congress, and the United States Senate is failing the American people. The Republican Party is failing the American people by not impeaching Joe Biden. Joe Biden should be impeached, and he will be convicted and removed from office. This man, this one man, should not be able to bring down the greatest, biggest, richest country in the world. So don't take it from me. Don't take it from TJ. I want you to listen to the audio of New York City Mayor Adams discussing what's happening in a recent town hall in New York City. Let me get that audio pulled up for you. Let's go.
You explain justifying budget cuts of 15% across all agencies as a requirement to support newly arrived families. These families need fully funded public schools. Can you explain what types of solutions are being explored with public and private partnerships?
So I really need the city. We're almost a victim of our success. You know that Deputy Mayor Williams Isom, who ran the entire asylum seeker operation. We're a victim of our success. We had 116,000 people that entered our city. Started with Governor Abbott. He primed the pump, and now everyone is saying send them to New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington. New York City is receiving the bulk of them. We have to house, clothe, clean their sheets, feed, medical care, everything a person who's dependent on you, we have to do. This year is going to cost us $5 billion. People talk about New York City has a $106 billion budget. $76 billion of that is already accounted for. At the beginning of the year, we know $76 billion is off. We have $30 billion that we can figure out how to move around and do the other programs that you're talking about. $30 billion. $5 billion of that $30 billion is gone. So we down.
Okay, you heard just now the New York City Mayor Adams state that $5 billion is gone. And I wanted to elaborate on that comment before we continue with the audio. $5 billion is gone. The reason why it is gone is because none of these migrants, asylum seekers have any federal backing from the United States federal government because they have not been approved for asylum. Majority of the applicants will be disapproved because they have fake, phony claims, and there will be no federal funding for these people. And that is why what they're doing is wrong. Because these people are being let into the country as if they were asylum seekers, but the President Biden is not attaching any federal funds for these people, meaning that he just is totally neglecting the so-called asylum seekers, and he's neglecting the states and the cities because these people are coming into this country homeless with no financial backing from anybody. So these people are coming in with nothing. We have homeless people, 10 million asylum seekers. We have 10 million homeless people roaming the streets of America today. And that is why Mayor Adams say the money is gone, because the money spent on the asylum seekers, because they are not approved, that money will not be reimbursed from the federal government. The federal government will not reimburse New York City. That is money down the toilet bowl. That is money in the garbage can. That money is gone. And it's his fault as the New York City mayor because he volunteered our resources in New York City. He volunteered $5 billion to the illegal migrants. He knows they will never be approved for asylum, and he knows they do not have federal funding. And many people don't understand the asylum program. Luckily, you are here with TJ, and I do. Asylum people are applied outside of America. And once they get approved, that's when they have the federal dollars to allow them to come to America, and the federal program finances their start in America. But until that happens, they don't have any federal dollars. And if the feds aren't paying, who the hell's going to pay? So this man, President Biden, is being extremely negligent and irresponsible, allowing millions of people without federal funding into our country with nowhere to go, no food to eat. They're going to be on the floor. They're walking around roaming. They're going to commit crimes. This is what's happening right now. So I digress. I'm going to continue the audio because I wanted you guys to catch that. The New York City Mayor Adams admits that $5 billion is gone. And Joe Biden will not reimburse the city because he does not have to by law.
Now we need another $7 billion when we balance our budget, so we're off $12 billion. That money has to come from somewhere. It's almost as though you have a budget for your house in a year and then the roof collapsed. You go to your insurance broker that you paid insurance for. They're supposed to pick up the tab. Well, our insurance broker is the federal government, and they're saying to us, we're not picking up the tab. They only gave us a little over $100 million.
Okay, you heard that? The federal government has already told New York City Mayor Adams and the Chicago mayor they are not paying to house the illegal migrants. These people are illegal migrants because their asylum applications has never been approved, will not be approved, and so they are illegally here. And Joe Biden and the Democrat Party is more concerned about getting votes and adding to the census head count illegally to give a damn about what happens to you and me on the ground. So that's very, very important that Mayor Adams just said. Let's go.
To pay for this. And they're telling us your asylum seekers can't work. We have thousands of jobs that are available, and they're saying they can't work. Every asylum seeker we communicated with said, we don't want anything free from New York. We just want to be able to contribute to the city. We want a job. We want to give back. So the money that you're talking about coming from schools, parks, sanitation, all of those areas, right now we're sitting down, pulling our hair out. Well, I don't have any hair, but we're pulling out, we're stressing over how are we going to go after that $5 billion that we have to, by law, balance our budget. We have a November plan that we have to reconfigure our budget by law. By law, I have to find $5 billion out of that $30 billion. It is frightening when you think about it. Frightening. Um, can you explain justifying?
Okay. So yes, there we have it. The New York City mayor mentioned something about by law. It's nothing by law says that you have to pay for strange people who are not citizens of your city and your country. You have to be a citizen of the United States first before you become a citizen of New York City or New York State. There's nothing in the law that says he has to volunteer $5 billion. That part he's lying. And the reason why Joe Biden is not paying New York City because New York City is volunteering the money. Instead of just allowing what Joe Biden is doing to collapse in front of everyone's eyes, he needs to leave those people. You came here with no money. You gave all your money to the cartel. Good luck to you. There will be roaming the streets. That's the only way to stop this. People need to see these people on the streets. And that's the only way we're going to get Joe Biden out of office because Joe Biden is collapsing our city's economics. Every city will collapse behind this nonsense. I'm going to try to pull up other part of this audio that is very important for you to hear. And let's go.
Clothe, clean their sheets, feed, medical
Pause
care.
that. Let's go back a little bit. Let's see where we are.
Clothe.
Nope, that's not it. Let's go back just a little bit more. Where we catch him talking about all the things we're supposed to pay for.
That entered our city. Started with Governor Abbott. He primed the pump, and now everyone is saying send them to New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington. New York City is receiving the bulk of them. We have to house, clothe, clean their sheets, feed, medical care, everything a person who's dependent on you, we have to do. This year is going to cost us $5 billion. People talk about New York City has a $106 billion budget. 76 billion.
Okay, so you guys heard that part. Let's try to fast forward what he said.
We're off $12 billion. That money has to come from somewhere. It's almost as though you have a budget for your house in a year and then the roof collapse. You go to your insurance broker that you paid insurance for. They're supposed to pick up the tab. Well, our insurance broker is the federal government, and they're saying to us, we're not picking up the tab. They only gave us a little over $100 million, and they're telling us your asylum seekers can't work. We have thousands of jobs that are available, and they're saying they can't work. Every asylum seeker we communicated with said, we don't want anything free from New York. We just want to be able to contribute to the city. We want a job. We want to give back. So the money that you're talking about coming from schools, parks, sanitation, all of those areas, right now we're sitting down, pulling our hair out. Well, I don't have any hair, but we're pulling out, we're stressing over how are we going to go after that $5 billion that we have to, by law, balance our budget. We have a November plan that we have to reconfigure our budget by law. By law, I have to find $5 billion out of that $30 billion. It is frightening when you think about it. Frightening.
Okay, there you have it. The mayor is admitting that this is a frightening circumstances because New York City will collapse economically. That will happen in New York City. So if you're hearing my voice on TJ Speaks, just know New York City is about to fall, and so will America. Because these people broke the law. When they entered the country illegally, they broke the law. And then they tried to cover up breaking the law by filing an asylum application. Meanwhile, they have no funds to live here, they have no money. That asylum application has not been approved, most likely will not be approved. And these people are imposing themselves and trying to disguise themselves as asylum seekers. But let me tell you guys a little scoop. When immigrants are admitted into the asylum program, there's a limited number. Only about maybe 30,000 immigrants are admitted throughout the entire world on for asylum. The maximum is about 30,000, might be 10,000. Okay. And so when that happens, America helps you as an immigrant come to America. They help you get the plane ticket. They have charity people that work with you, and they help support your apartment. You have an apartment waiting for you when you are an approved um, asylum immigrant. When you are approved, that means you waited, you was vetted, and you did everything legally, and you proved your case for asylum. You just didn't show up at our borders, broke as hell, break in, and try to hide behind asylum program. You didn't do that. So those people, those immigrants that submitted through the asylum, it's a limited budget allocated by Congress, and they help them for a period of time, and then either they go back home or they apply to become a citizen of the United States. That's what happens. They are not roaming the streets. They are automatically given a work visa because America treats the asylum immigrants very well. in this country. So this nonsense that these are so-called asylum seekers, the reason why they call them seekers, because they came in here illegally and they have not been given no asylum protection from any government. And so these are homeless people walking our streets. These are needy people that come here broke. If you want a job, if you want to do things right, you will do things right. Good people do not break the law. Okay? So let's talk about the residents of New York City and Chicago. Isn't it the need for protection human? Because according to their representatives and their aldermen, that the citizens of Chicago and the citizens of New York City are somehow inhumane because they need to have protection. They see their neighborhoods are being overwhelmed, their resources depleted, and they're just trying to protect their children. Particularly the people of Chicago do not want their children thrown out in the streets. They want to keep the programs that's assisting their kids stay healthy and safe. And the Chicago representatives are wanting to throw the black children out into the streets, cancel their after school program, cancel all the resources that their parents paid for through their tax dollars, and give them nothing and tell the citizens, oh, these other people are human, you're not. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And also, it leads to my third point. Historically, black needs and dreams are placed behind other people. And those of you that's out there know that I'm telling the truth. Historically, we have been treated as second class citizens. Originally, we were brought here as slaves. So, as slaves are treated inhumane, and their only purpose in life was to work and finance the lifestyles of their slave master. That was our original purpose in America. Then we got our freedom. We were granted our citizenship through Congress, 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendments. And then we were treated as second class citizen with the Jim Crow legislation. So there is a historical relevance to what's going on with these migrants, placing the needs and the dreams of the black people and the other citizens as well. But because I'm black, I focus on black issues. Historically, my people, the American descendants of slaves, our needs and our dreams have always been second class, secondary to the needs of others. And what I see and why I don't like what's going on, and I will protest this, what's going on with this illegal migrant business that the Democrat Party is pushing onto our communities. What I see is the historical and the current oppression of my people. This is what happened. We are not allowed to dream in America. We have a dream too. I know I do. I have an American dream. I want to be somebody. I want to be successful. But if my government and my representatives are throwing my kids out of their school or making them go to overcrowded schools or depleting their resources, cutting the budget for my community, that affects me. Just recently, about a year ago, New York City cut the budget for our sanitation and left our streets very dirty. Dirty to the point when I walked to work, I had to step over piles of trash. It was so bad and I couldn't understand what happened. But it turns out our city council cut our budget for sanitation in the black community by 40%. 40% cut to our sanitation services. Although we get no cuts in our tax dollars, our taxes are still due, they cut our services. So I happened to contact the commissioner of sanitation through 311 and complain and say, you guys are targeting us because we're black people, we are a black community, and you cut our services and sanitation, and now we are living in filth. Well, luckily, they got to the commissioner, and he was afraid of the backlash if it came out public that this is what they done. So they restored our sanitation services. The garbage men were continuously picking up our trash again, and that was a win for this community. But what they're proposing right now to Chicago and to New York City is to put your needs aside, you know, resist your human instinct for self preservation and care about someone else. These people made a conscious decision to leave their homes back wherever they came from and to come here completely without any funds and any contacts and without any housing that's already established. And that's irresponsible. And the reason why I say that is because when I leave this country on vacation, I am considered an immigrant. And let me tell you, I will never leave my home here in New York City to go to a place like Jamaica. I love Jamaica, but I would never show up in Jamaica broke and not having a hotel room already established and booked for me and my family. I would not do that. That is irresponsible. And for that reason, New York City should be, instead of paying for their food and their clothing and their housing, like Mayor Adams suggests, they should be paying for a one-way plane ticket back to their home country where their house is. Because that's how you're going to solve the housing crisis. You're going to send them back home to where their home is, where they've been living for hundreds of years, sometimes thousands of years. That is how you fix this crisis. You have to send these people back home. They show up, and your shelter system, and they need this, and they need food, and they need clothes, and they need this, and they need that. You hand them a plane ticket right back where they came from. Don't show up to my door with no money. You have no money. You did not contribute to this pot. Okay? You're not welcome here imposing on our people. We have to start saying that. You are not welcome here to burden our people. Self preservation is a human instinct. And we don't need to be ashamed or gaslighted or somehow we're not human because we want to preserve our families and our communities. And we think we are human. We are human as well. And we are doing the human thing by protecting ourselves and our communities, and especially protecting our children. And lastly, I want to touch on who's protecting the black Americans. Because everyone seems to be protecting these people. Who the hell is protecting us? And that's what I want my listeners to think about when they vote in this upcoming 2024 election. Whether you're going to vote for the most likely nominees, Donald Trump, or the nominee of President Joe Biden, okay, you got to think about this. Who's protecting you? And you will be a damn fool not to consider yourself and your children and your family's needs and dreams. Because I know my children definitely have dreams. And I want them to live in a successful country and to thrive and be a successful, well, productive citizen and human being. I want them to live the American dreams, to go higher than I've ever reached. And the way I do that is protecting them today, protecting them now, and making sure I do not vote for Joe Biden. I will be voting for Donald Trump in 2024 because I need to protect my neighborhood. I don't care about racism. I don't care about all the nonsense. I care about my family. I care about my children. I care about my safety. I don't need drug cartels running through my streets, ex-murderers, con men that come out of other countries' jails. There's jails in other countries too. I don't need to walk down the street and I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to my front door. These things is important to me. It is regardless of your race. That doesn't make sense. If you're a human, you care about your family. You care about your safety. And our safety is in danger. Not to mention what's going on in Israel. Joe Biden is letting an unknown number of terrorists into this country. We don't know if we're going to have tomorrow. That is why it's imperative that our United States Congress impeach Joe Biden and remove him. I don't care about an election. He needs to be removed because the people of the United States are in dire danger. Okay, people, take care. Be safe. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Take care.